Okay, so the case has been dismissed. How I found out was yesterday in comments on YouTube. People were saying that they were told by the prosecutor that the case is dismissed, but I mean, people can lie in my comments, but I really, most, like the majority, like 90% at least of the people are really truthful in the comment section on my videos. So I had to believe it, but yesterday I didn't look into it any further after people said that the case was dropped. I was still in defense mode until this morning. I got an email, and I posted a copy of the email on my Twitter, acumagnet.com. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna just roll with this. Alright, I just need to, every minute this front screen turns off. I forgot it does that. So I got the email that said that my bail can be returned, and they asked if I wanted to pick it up or have it sent to Washington. So I got on my bicycle and went just a mile and picked it up, and I asked for this piece of paper to confirm that this case was dropped, and that's it. I mean, they keep it pretty simple in this town. So they didn't explain a lot of times. I mean, that's like what cops do. They don't explain themselves when they want to break away. So that's it. Let's see. There's really nothing else I can do. There's really nothing else. I mean, I'm kind of dropping. I left the town. I dropped everything and left. So I'm not really doing anything now as a result. I was going to complain about Officer Dirty Harris, John Dirty Harris, and his law twisting, especially with the 24-hour investigative hold, which he has stretched. It's a way. I think cops were leaving people in jail for weeks without charges. In Missouri, set up this statute in 1974 to offer protections for civilians to maintain a maximum time limit. So that was getting abused. That's getting abused. It's not for investigative purpose. It's not intended for investigative purposes. I got this CD, and let me get the screen back on. Okay, I have no CD player. It's supposed to have the body cams or DVD. I haven't used a DVD in years, so I don't know. It's just a little bit. It's just a little bit of scratchings towards the center there. I stopped in a couple of libraries and asked if they have any means to play DVDs, but so what? I want to save the file. I suppose I could come in with a thumb drive too. Come in with a DVD and a thumb drive into whatever computer they have that can play DVDs, possibly, but I don't think they really allow it because of the potential for viruses. Because yeah, that's what happened at the library in Bethany. They have a DVD player, but I can't play. There was just no way to access this DVD. So yeah, just sitting on that. It's no big deal. I gotta say, I have some regrets about this trial. How long did it take? Let's see. I got arrested on Tuesday morning, stayed till Wednesday morning. Today's Friday. So Thursday well, Wednesday morning I was rushing to get a plan. I was formulating a plan, and I put that the plan on the community section tab of what I wanted to do in court. And I went in with my little voice recorder. I forgot to turn it on. When I heard my name called, I didn't think to turn it on. I should have just had this thing running the whole time. So I failed to get that audio, and it was a pretty good conversation. It's a intimate conversation where the judge actually has you approach the bench. Everybody's all close together. I've never had that. Every arraignment that I've had, I've been at a distance behind that table, and then you have a speaker because you're so far away. You have to use a speaker. But at this one, he has you come up, and it's so strange. They don't check you for weapons when you go into the courthouse or the courtroom. You just go in, and then you have that intimate closeness with the judge. It's really different. It's risky on the judge's part, but he seems like a tough guy anyway. I kind of forgot his name. But yeah, I got this thick load of paperwork. It's all garbage pretty much now. I've recorded it. It's on YouTube. I don't plan on putting it the paperwork on members only for a while, unless it's something else, unless another charge comes up. Like, yeah, I put the Williston ones in the for members only, but it doesn't seem to delete. It doesn't seem to like make them not visible to public. If you go to the video section on my page, you'll see the videos are still showing it, but it says for members only. I was kind of hoping that those videos would more disappear to take away the clutter. Instead, I need to put them as unlisted so that no one could see them. But oh well, I'll have to work with what YouTube's presenting. Yeah, it's a situation where it was really intense, really frustrating, and then now I'm just getting off of that adrenaline rush. In jail, I had a nasty headache. They put me in isolation because I could see the charges that everybody else got. There's maybe 10 other people, 12 other people in the jail, in the main compartment. And on the dry erase board, I could see the bonds that they had, and that was no big deal to John. But on the computer, he got to a screen where it showed their charges. You know, I don't know, burglary and domestic abuse and all that, and their names. And I was looking at it, and I was staring at it, and he noticed me doing that and changed the screen quickly. And then he had the screen up again, and then after that, he said, "Okay, we're gonna have to put him in isolation." So I was in isolation, which I still have a window, and I could actually see the people coming and going, people entering the jail area and leaving, and it was not that big of a deal. I was in there a couple hours, and then that time I watched Officer Dirty Harris bring in another guy. And as Harris was leaving, I asked him if he had any charges yet, and he told me, "Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Well, you don't." And then he's like, "I do." So I was kind of challenging him, but he told me not to worry about it. That was really offensive, because I was sitting in the isolation tank, and he's telling me not to worry about any charges. It's obviously punishment. Is this whole investigative hold, and it's abused, because if you actually look up the statute, looks like it's a statute that was created by a legislator in '74, where they decided to actually put a time constraint on how long people could be should be in jail. But that's very inconvenient. I mean, and especially for misdemeanor. So, I can understand maybe more felonies they do that investigative some kind of investigative hold, but for minor offenses, they just are abusing it. It's an across the board 24-hour thing, no matter what crime. So it's something that the lawmakers could probably take another look at, make it more fair. One guy in comments suggested that the cop should have to represent what he was doing in that time, with some kind of history showing what he was doing in that 24 hours, maybe hour by hour, saying what he was doing during his investigation while I was sitting in jail. Because, I mean, you know, part of that was Harris sleeping. As he was part of that 24 hours of investigative hold was him sleeping, and he probably wasn't working off duty, so it's really excessive. And they waited till the last hour. At the 24-hour mark, I sat for the full 24, and I think it should have been 20 hours. And I didn't look at the laws too closely because now that it's over, I just stopped looking. But there was a 20 and a 24, and in the police policy, the police manuals, they're saying 24, but in the statute it says 20 and 24. 24 depending on certain types of crimes. So the police policies just took across the board 24 hours and put that in. This is through the St. Louis police policies. So I was going to ask for the police policies for Bethany to see what they have to say about that, but I'm not there anymore. I wanted to do a background check on Harris, of his any prior complaints or reprimands, and his training records, just to look at that. But it's really, I don't really have a need to do that now. And they were avoiding me. The sheriff was avoiding me yesterday. Well, he did call me and said that I need to get the documents straight from him, but when I showed up, he wasn't at the sheriff department, or the police chief. They both work together, the police chief and sheriff. And yeah, I was digging into the history of the city and because other commenters were saying things that were quite interesting, like the Sheriff Place took the place of the previous sheriff who died last year from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was getting charged with some crimes, and it got to be too much for him, and he killed himself in his own home at age 45. I forget his name, but that was quite a tragedy. And there seems to be some misunderstandings in the town. They have a certain way of living and interacting with each other that's kind of unique. So yeah, for legal stuff, there's really nothing else I can do. Just got to put it behind me. I don't really intend to make to write any lawsuits against them. I mean, they did put me out $59, the $50 fee for the bail, and then they took $10 from me in the jail, and then turn around and give me a check, which I take to Walmart, and they're like, it costs $4 to cash that check, so it's $6. So I lose out on that money. And then it cost me $5 to go to Hy-Vee to cash that $500 bail. So I paid $50 to give the jail $500, and then to get my $500 back, I had to pay another $5 to get it back. So I paid $55 to give it away and take it back. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I got bail as soon as I found out I could get like this type of bail, which is not run through any bail outside third-party bail agencies. It's run through the jail system. And you know, in the course of my investigating, I was going to look into who Corey is, find out what the deal is with that, supervisory programs and drug screening. But I don't know. It's not that important now. But he was in charge. I guess he would have revoked my bail if whatever situation came up called for that. So that's really it. I'm just kind of making this little vlog on my Hero 9 out in another city south of there of Bethany, and just getting my thoughts out there. Let's see, is there anything else? State of Missouri, yeah, all these witnesses, that's crazy. That's all these witnesses, and they prepared everything for the prosecutor, and he wrote his arguments based on the evidence presented before him, not seeing my evidence. He just worked with what he had, and then I started submitting my evidence. My half my criminal issue was litigated over YouTube, I think, by YouTubers, because I'm surprised. I think he saw the video of me interacting with the secretaries at the city hall through YouTube, but I saved it on a thumb drive, and I was going to present it to him that way. But I guess YouTube was good enough for Mr. Myers. And then people also made arguments about Title 18 applying to him as well, and the commenter said that the prosecutor did not know that Title 18 also applied to the prosecutor as well as the cops. So I thought that was interesting. It applies to everybody. And let's see. I don't know. I still am hung up on why they would put cause instead of case. I think that was a mistake. You know, I would never do that. I would never call it a cause number. But I mean, that's prosecutors. I think every prosecutor, every paperwork I've read from prosecutors has had some kind of weird error in some way when you look closely at it. So yeah, there's nothing. I really regret not having recorded the interaction with the prosecutor. I can't reenact it, but I was fighting for myself to have certain easements, give me back my bail, reduce the whatever they call it, the limit, reduce the restraining order at City Hall. It's various stuff. Okay, all right. So they got a visitor, I guess. And yeah, that's the short and sweet, short episode. I think there was something else I wanted to say. Just yeah, I as soon as I got my bail, I got out of jail, I was scrambling to get my notes together. I immediately posted video, got my notes together for that trial. So I got out at 10, and then I had the arraignment at 1:30. So I only had a couple of hours to really get ready for it, and so I was much better prepared for it. Getting out of jail compared to if I had to stay in jail. 'Cause I would not have addressed the judge and the prosecutor in the way that I did if I came from jail and the jail closed and all that. I don't know, somehow I got my thoughts, I was able to write down my thoughts better outside of jail, so that was very helpful. And I didn't bring up everything. I wanted to bring up the Waller analysis for allowing this is the main stuff right in here. These notes, that's what I was going off of. And I wasn't making any notes in jail. It's just, I wasn't thinking. I had a headache in jail. Just the air and the lights were really causing some head pains. Discovery request, I asked for that at arraignment. You can ask for discovery request at arraignment, and then you can go to the prosecutor's office, even schedule maybe a time. You could do that right at arraignment. I've never done that before. That was a first. And then I demanded a reduced bail right away at arraignment, and we had that conversation. The judge told me that I could have a reduction in my bail for the next court hearing if I show up December 1st, but that's no longer an issue. Yeah, reduced to no contact at City Hall. And then, well, I asked him twice, rule on whether this was a lawful arrest. And then he told me about how I need to be a lawyer to argue the law on that. I did not bring up the Waller analysis for media in the courtroom. I figured I could just make a motion for that. And I told him I intended to make motions. But I took care of the discovery request right there, and I made it clear that I was going to argue the lawful nature of my arrest. And then I said I was going to write motions in limine. And then the demand, I think that's standard. That's standard. You make a discovery right at arraignment. You make it clear. I want to do a discovery. I want reduced bail, whatever limitations they give you. You try to find ways to ease those limitations. Like at City Hall, I'm like, I want to attend council meetings. What do you say to that? And the judge looked at the prosecutor and is like, what do you think? And the prosecutor is like, Mr. Myers is like, yeah, that's fine. You start your battle at arraignment. All right, they want you to just plead guilty or not guilty, and that's what it came down to. I brought up twice. On the second time, he asked me how I pleaded, and then I was like, Your Honor, I respectfully request for you to rule on whether this was a lawful arrest or not. And then he's like, oh, I'll put you down for not guilty. And I was like, okay, fine. Do that. But it plants a seed in their head, at least, that you're taking a tough stance against their charges. For a situation like mine, every crime is different. So that's it. So I'm recording quite a bit here, just droning on. I hope I didn't miss anything. I didn't take any notes about what else I wanted to say. Just it's done and over, and I just move on. I mean, I don't know Missouri law that well, but I'm now got a little bit more experience. There's the sunshine law. If you're doing public records requests, they call it the sunshine, like a sunshine records request in Missouri. They want to give it a special name for some reason. I haven't looked into that too much. And I really didn't look too much into the harassment charge and 56091 and 5. I don't even really exactly know what they say. I just said the arrest was unlawful. I mean, the charges really don't reflect the situation much at all. But when you kind of look at them, it's really crazy how the statutes is written. I kind of looked at one, and at the bottom it said cops are exempt from the harassment ordinance. Cops are allowed to harass you. And that's unique for Missouri. I've never seen that where it said cops are allowed to do it. Because in North Dakota, at the bottom, it says that unless the law, this law does not supersede the Constitution, the First Amendment, but that would be for harassment, right? Yeah, cops are allowed to harass. They're saying cops are exempt from harassment and from the other charge. Cops are exempt from them both. But other states will say that the Constitution it doesn't include constitutionally protected activities. They say that in other states, but in Missouri they say cops are exempt from these. So that's really disturbing. Yeah, I was disturbing the peace. That's the disorderly conduct, and cops are exempt from that too. I think I looked at one, but I think I saw the other one said that too. I think a lot of the ordinances, they want to emphasize that cops are exempt instead of this does not include constitutionally protected activities. They want to say cops are exempted from this instead. So it's really emboldening for the cops, and it's a bigger hurdle that you gotta get over. I mean, you know, you have to, if everybody, well, I'm not saying that there should be a big movement to fight for civil rights. Everybody has to stand up on their own. But I mean, this getting together, the calls was incredible. Shuts down the calls that came into the city, shut down the non-emergency line, and people were talking about that. It's something. How many calls shut down a non-emergency line? How many calls are we talking? At the time, it was just under 20,000 or at 20,000 views for one video. That doesn't sound like a lot, you know, when other videos can get 100,000 in the same amount of time. But the town is that vulnerable, or the call volume was that intense? I'm not exactly sure, but there was that influence too. But I certainly was not asking for any of that activity of making calls in, but it seemed to have helped. But I think I was able to be professional and make my requests to let them know that I was taking a strong stand against their charges. But also the call volumes would have my strong stance and demands, questions to have things eased up, have stood on its own. I'm not sure. I'm sure. I don't believe that the calls would have stood up on their own if I just went in and did not demand anything, just agreed to everything they said, but said I want to just plead not guilty and be silent. I'm not sure. There's that totality of circumstances. It's hard to say, but yeah, I mean, you got to fight back hard regardless. And you may not know what their tipping point was, what the city's tipping point was to eventually dismiss the charges. It's hard to say what that was, but I guess you can never do too much as a defendant because you don't quite know. So that's that. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.